Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Prep for Wave Week. This is our second year, our annual event happening where we are helping you prep on the many various different things that you need to be aware of as we start heading into wave season 2023. So today is really our foundations day. So you've heard from a couple of different speakers, or you're picking and choosing who you're going through first and second since we have recorded sessions this year. And our speaker during this session is talking all about finances, which is incredibly important if you want to set yourself up for success for wave season in 2023 and really just set up your travel business for success in general. So hello to Stephanie Cannon.
Hi, Rita. Glad to be back for year two. This is
Yay!
exciting.
I know. I am so excited. We got like some really great feedback last year and just really diving in because from all the trainings, like through the podcast on the strategic travel entrepreneur and all the things that you have put out in the past year, it has definitely, at least for me, helped me to hone in on the importance of having systems in finances. I mean, systems in all of travel business is important, but especially in finances, because as before we got on, you mentioned, that tax season coincides with wave season and it can be a whole cluster of things happening. So before we get into like talking a little bit about that, what's your background in finances and the travel industry?
So let's start with the travel industry since that's the most recent.
Yes.
I've actually been in the industry for 16 years now. It's been a
Yay.
hot minute since I started and always worked under a host.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a team. It's just always been me and I like it that way. I've went in and out of different types of travel styles over the year, trying things on, see what feels best for how I want to run my business.
Mm-hmm.
So, over the last however many years, it's been still romance focused,
Okay.
not destination wedding based anymore,
Nice.
more honeymoon, anniversary, engagement, those types of things, and luxury travel. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's my experience in the travel side. But prior to that, so now I'm going to age myself, a little embarrassing, but starting in the early 1990s is when my career in finance began,
Mm.
as a CPA with a couple of different local CPA firms helping small business owners do all of the things that CPAs help them with. So, from payroll to bookkeeping to sales tax to preparing financial statements, if they needed that for a small business loan, tax reporting, all of the things. So, I have lots of years of experience helping individual small businesses, which is what many people tuning in probably are. And then I moved on from that and went to the corporate world where I worked in budgeting and finance. So, at a higher, more grand level,
Mm-hmm.
preparing and managing budgets.
Alrighty. This big stuff. And
Yeah.
when we're thinking about breaking it down for the travel business, so the first thing, obviously, like we talked about, setting up tax season, but setting ourselves up for financial systems for that we're not like really inundated or drowning when it comes to start preparing our taxes. Is there really anything that we should be like keeping an eye out in terms of preparing for tax season even before wave season?
Yes.
Oh.
There always is. But it's really part of just having your numbers available to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Many small business owners, not just travel advisors, think that the only reason that they're tracking their numbers is so that they can file and pay their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true.
Okay.
That is a reason, yes. But the main reason is for you as a business owner to be able to make good decisions in your business based on the numbers that you have. So if those numbers are 12 months old, then you're really not seeing a true picture. So having a process or healthy financial habits in place
Mm-hmm.
where you're able to assess this on a monthly basis is really key. And the numbers really are for you as the business owner to assess what's going on so that you can make changes if needed with, in all different areas. It could be a lot of different things, but you're tracking against your goals. So you're not just, recording the numbers to see, am I profitable? Am I not profitable? Yes, that's a good thing, but you're also tracking against goals that you've set. And do I need to adjust, my goals and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
So first and foremost, it's knowing where you are every single month, regardless of whether you have 2 transactions or 2,000 transactions.
Right.
Like, you just need to know, because that gives you power and confidence and clarity and all of the things to make those really good business decisions.
Right. You said 2000 and I'm like, that is a lot of transactions.
I'm just trying to give, everybody some context here. The thing is really setting up the system. And when I say system, I'm not talking about a software.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process, a workflow, and you can have multiple processes or workflows that make up your entire financial system. And then, the software, whether it be some kind of a bookkeeping or financial software or spreadsheets, those are the tools you're using to help you to become more efficient. But having those healthy financial habits, even if you only have 2 transactions a month.
Well, and I see, because I'm like, okay, I'm sure people are asking, so what numbers are you asking about? And I think even recognizing the difference between 2,000 and 2 transactions, I think those are numbers that you need to be tracking. So how much money do you want to be making? And then from there, so how much needs to come in? What are the sales? Because we're not like a typical service-based business, like a plumber or a doctor or whatever, that if I say it's $100 fee, I get the $100 fee. It's different in our business.
Yes, it is. And so that's one of the systems or the processes that you would have in place, is being able to budget and project that. So we're just not budgeting for expenses. We're projecting for cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at the potential money to come in. And as many of us know, in this industry, we make a sale that doesn't immediately translate into money in your bank the next day.
Mm-hmm.
It could be months down the road before that actually comes in, but we still have the expenses that we pay on a routine basis, and they need to keep happening. And yes, we need to pay ourselves too. Mm-hmm. So one of the systems is being able to project cash flow, ideally on a rolling 12 months, so that you can catch where there might be shortfalls, or if you have a larger investment or expense that you want to make, you can clearly see, mm-hmm. like, okay, yes, I can commit to this or I can't. And that could be a number of different things for that investment. But that's just one of the things besides tracking like what's already happened. I call those like the lagging numbers, because in reality, when you're looking at your profit and loss statement, ideally on a monthly basis,
right?
Those numbers you see are the result of all the stuff that's already happened. So even the revenue number could be stuff that's already taken place in your business 6 months ago, 12 months ago. When you're working on those sales and making the bookings for your client, by the time you receive the money, it could be months down the road. So that's the result, but we need to get ahead of it to make those numbers grow. What actions do we need to take, which was be our goal planning, our projecting, and those kind of things, to get the result that we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually a disconnect, especially in our industry.
Right. Yeah, because I don't think people are realizing that in order to earn X amount of dollars, you have to sell way more than those X amount of dollars. So I guess I'm kind of also thinking, what's the difference between a newbie in the business and a veteran in the business? As far as a newbie, what systems do they need to be setting up? And somebody who's been in the business for a couple years, what should they be reviewing?
So there's some similarities and differences. Mm-hmm. For a new person, it's really just coming up with that overall process and how it's going to work in their business, what tools they're going to use, what steps they're going to take, when they're going to take them, those kind of things, so that they have the reporting, the tracking and reporting set up before they get too busy to go back and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing. And then once that gets down, they'll get the experience and the knowledge, and setting goals will become a little bit clearer to do because they've already had some history and they can see. It gets a little intimidating when you don't have anything for reference or you're not
Right.
sure what it's going to look like. So that looks a little bit different. But for veterans, so they already have the history and they can easily go back as long as they have the data to kind of do the comparison year over year or quarter over quarter or whatever that is, to be able to better project what it's going to look like for the following year if they're setting goals. But for their immediate systems, trust me when I say this, and I'm not throwing any shade on anybody because I've been here. I did this in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still so many veterans in our industry that are still waiting to put their numbers together, see what everything looks like once a year. And that's a problem,
Mm-hmm.
in the fact that it takes your attention away from the season where you have the ability to get the most on your books, the most sales, which hopefully translates into the highest commission and fees during that time.
Right.
And yet you've got this monkey on your back.
I've been
Maybe,
guilty.
yeah, maybe it's you, maybe it's your tax preparer, whoever you're working with. Like, I need your numbers. I need your numbers. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
but wait a minute, I'm taking care of my clients. I'm making sales, but I need your numbers. And it's this constant kind of like tension or tug of war between the two, because you want to get the stuff off your plate,
Right.
but yet it's not ready to be taken off your plate because there's a lot of prep work, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
that the individual advisor still needs to do in order to hand it over to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have the processes in place, the workflows, the systems, the habits, you can easily get to January and only have 1 month left to update. And like, to me, for veterans, that's huge, like
Yes.
literally huge.
Yes.
So
Yeah, because I'm thinking now, I have been reluctantly, but also happily, a couple months ago, I went ahead and I started using one of the systems that you have created, one of the spreadsheets. And I was like, whew, like it just gave me so much relief to know that I had
yeah,
like 6, 7 months already taken care of out of, instead of like coming April 2023 and being like, I have to do all of this now. It was also really cool to see the numbers in the sense of what sales are coming in, how much commission am I being paid out, being able to pick up on trends that I'm starting to notice as far as like what months am I booking a lot of stuff in, what months are a little bit slower. So when you start picking up on these, or when people start, or what are some trends that people should start picking up on if they're looking at their numbers?
yeah. So it's very easy for one to see, am I making a profit? So that's like number one.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not month to month because our business is so different. We have our expenses and you can average them out over the months, but
Mm-hmm.
the reality is we pay some monthly, we pay some quarterly, we pay some like once a year.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to put spikes in your expenses if you're looking at it from month to month. And then the same thing with our commissions when they come in, there's going to be spikes. Like you're talking about the trends, not just when you're booking, but compared to when people are traveling, two different things,
Mm-hmm.
because you get paid for the most part after they travel. So, but looking at it on a cumulative basis for the year, so you can see, like, so far year to date, am I profitable or does it look like I'm going to be profitable? So that's where it takes over from your lagging numbers to what I call your leading numbers. So these are your projections based on what you already have booked and the expenses that you've already committed to. You can kind of see what that's projected to be. So that's one thing. And the other is, like you said, in these financial systems, for the most part, we're not tracking sales. We're tracking money coming in,
Mm-hmm.
which is a result of the sales we've made. So when you have a way to be able to track, like, well, when did I make that sale? How much was it for? Where, what destination, what supplier? Like, you can slice and dice that data so you can see trends on the sales side. And hopefully that translates to like, oh yeah, I saw my sales for destination X go up in this month or this quarter. And wait a minute, I marketed that, 3 months prior, and you can make the connection. And now you can start
Yes.
seeing like what's working, what's not working.
Yes. I am loving that because I think it just helps to unsolve the mystery of being in business instead of like just operating as is and kind of like drowning with all this information that you currently have. You're able to make those well-informed decisions because you know certain margins and predictors. And the more that you're in business, the longer you can be like, okay, like this is not bringing me joy anymore. I don't want to be selling this. Or these are the people. Like there's just so many things that you can start deciding and streamlining in your business if you know your numbers. So when we're thinking like now it's November, so what needs to happen right now so that in January, February, March, we're not like, oh my gosh, I just got hit over with a Big Mac truck because I didn't set anything up.
Well, the first thing is commit to doing it. There's number one. So many times we let ourselves off the hook because we're busy. I get that. We have a lot of different areas that we have our hands in, we wear all these different hats, but your money is important because without money, you can't pay yourself and you can't keep your business running. And that's one of the main reasons why businesses close is because they run out of money. So the commitment to getting this under control and set up is number one, and then start taking the steps to figure out, what your system really needs to look like, what you should be tracking, and then just tackle one thing at a time. Because once you have that in place, it becomes easier and easier to do it on a monthly basis. Then I would say you could put it on autopilot, but for the most case, you still need to get in there and do something.
Right.
But it could be semi-autopilot. And that's the power of tools.
Yes.
So that the whole goal is to give you what you need to be able to see and use in your business without taking hours and hours to do it. So automations are really key because your time is better served selling. We know this.
Right. Doing the fun stuff.
Yes, exactly. That's why most people are in the industry.
Right. And
the fun stuff.
And it's funny how the things that fund the fun stuff get overlooked. Right.
But, and I think too, depending on everybody's background, I know this is how it was for me. I came from an environment that was basically fire drill focused. So it was always like, what's the fire of the day? And I could never get out in front of this. So if you can just make that commitment to get in front of it, it'll be so much easier longer term than year after year after year, seeing this same pattern happen. Because how much time does it take away, and how much energy and mental space and all of this, the stress, the anxiety, when tax season comes up and you're like, I have nothing. I have to start from January 1.
Right.
So
thinking about it, I'm like, I'm just so glad that, before we got on, I was like, I was getting back on track, and I had through August, and then I'm in Florida, so dealing with hurricane and then family stuff after hurricane has kind of like thrown me off of my normal trying to get on top of all my financial numbers. But the spreadsheets that you have created have been flipping phenomenal, if I do say so myself, as far as just the ease of putting things in. And so in a sense that becomes fun, just putting the things in and then being able to track the numbers at the outset of all that.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of a system that we don't even talk about, is that like you can also create a fun system or find a way to make it fun or enjoyable to you so that it's something that you look forward to doing and not like, oh, okay, we got to do
I
this
know
again.
everybody thinks, the numbers, like, oh, I'm bad at math, I hate numbers, all this stuff. But we have so many good tools, and it does not have to be a robust like complicated bookkeeping system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are some businesses that will need that just because of the type of business or the complexity or the volume.
Mm-hmm.
But most individual travel advisors can use a spreadsheet
Okay.
and make it so much easier. Because so I've been running the spreadsheet that you're talking about in
Mm-hmm.
tandem with my QuickBooks. And literally, I have my numbers in and classified to the
Mm-hmm.
expenses and the income categories in less than 30 minutes every month.
Yeah.
Like less than 30 minutes. It's
Right.
so easy. So no excuses, right?
Right. Right. And then when it comes time to tax season next year, I am going to be so stinking proud that I don't have to worry about it. I've got everything set and it should be a breeze, knock on wood.
Yes. But I think the real value is seeing your numbers month by month and
Yes.
cumulative for year to date so that you actually have that information, because it's so easy. Like a new conference comes up, a new FAM comes up, a new software or a tool, or some kind of a coaching program, and we all want to say yes to all of these.
Right.
But when we don't remember what we've already committed to and now we commit to something new, and then we're like, oh, wait a minute. Still have to
Right.
pay for this. So knowing and seeing those numbers ahead of time can really, really be helpful and keep people focused and on track for your goals, because that's really what we're trying to do, is measure against the goals, because you have goals not just in your business but in your life.
Right. Right. And I think that's a very good point in the sense that there's so many shiny objects that are out there, and some are incredibly useful and you do need them, and others are incredibly useful, but you don't need them because that's not where you're hurting in your business. So I think knowing your numbers, knowing the trends, and figuring out where holes might be is going to be even more powerful in making sound decisions in your business so that you're investing in the right things that you need right now. And maybe
Yep.
X can hold off for next year or the year after, or whatever it may be.
Exactly. And even by seeing your numbers, maybe there's some things that you already signed up for that you forgot about that you're not using, and you can
Mm-hmm.
cancel and
Yes.
save the money.
Yes.
Like there's so many different scenarios we could go through with all of this, but the only way to catch it is to look at it
Right.
on a monthly basis.
Right.
And then, you're not what I call kind of like those holes, like you were talking about the holes, like where are we bleeding money out of our
Mm-hmm.
business that we don't need to be.
Right. Right. So I know that you are hosting a lot of different things this week. So please tell us where we can find out more information and what it is you're hosting.
Yes. So we're in the midst of a workshop series, a free workshop series. It's the same for every time I host it. So the last one is actually tomorrow, which would be the 8th of November. I believe it's at 6 p.m. I try to vary the dates and times so people can join based on their schedule. But so we're going through like some of the things we already talked about here, taking it a step further, some of the mistakes that travel advisors are making with their finances, talking about some of the systems or what the actual flow would look like on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, all the basis. And I'm talking about how you can pull all that together in what I call my 4-hour formula, which I love.
Ooh.
Because so many people feel like it's going to take me hours and hours, but it really doesn't. If you
Yep.
can commit on average to 1 hour a week for 50 weeks, I mean, and for some people, it won't even need to be 1 hour a week, but you can have all this done. So we're talking about that in there, and talking also about some other things like having an emergency fund and cash flow projections to help better manage the business. So that's tomorrow. And then that's leading up into my boot camp, which is the spreadsheet that you talked about. We're learning about how to set all this stuff up in a routine, in a system, what it looks like, the chart of accounts, like defining that specifically for your individual business. And then learning how to do it all in a spreadsheet that is automated, and we just plug the numbers in and there it is.
That's awesome. So where can people go to sign up for that?
So the free workshop, they can go to withstephaniecannon.com/workshop, and
Mhm.
you'll see that there'll only be one option left to sign up for. And then the boot camp, I will have the registration on my main website. So withstephaniecannon.com, it'll be all over. And of course, if you're already on my email list, then you've probably already heard about it.
Yes. Awesome. And where can people find you on social?
So right now I'm mostly on Facebook. I'm just not a huge Instagram user.
Mhm.
So my Facebook page is with Stephanie C. But most of what I do is inside my private group, the First Class Profit Lounge. So every
Awesome.
other Friday at this point, I'm hosting Finance Friday Live. And we have a topic that we dive into for about 20, 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes, no
Okay.
longer than 30 on those Fridays to really take something to a deeper level.
Mhm.
So kind of get off of the surface and just take one area. And I base that on either something that I've been through, I've seen, or somebody's asked me. So there is no rhyme or reason other than it's pretty much either financial or mindset
Mhm.
focused. And then if you don't have my financial checklist, that's also available and it's free. So you just go to withstephaniecannon.com/checklist and that will be available.
Awesome. And if you are registered for Prep for Wave Week, we'll make sure that all those links and details are included inside of the module of this session. Thank you so much for being here, Stephanie, and sharing with us some of your financial wisdom.
Yes, thank you for having me back for year two. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, likewise, likewise. And if you have purchased the study hall pass, it's the upgrade to Prep for Wave Week. I will see you at 3 p.m. Eastern when we're doing a 1-hour co-working session. All right, have a great day, everyone.